1, 2, 1.
Hello, punks. It's me, Stu Pop, Podcast Ed here at Dungeon Punks. First off, I just want to say thank you for listening to seasons 1 and 2 of our humble little podcast and for supporting us on Patreon if you do so. Second, I just want to give you some updates about what is coming down the pipe for the podcast following the end of season 2, which you've hopefully just listened to. Season 3 is on its way. Let's just get that out flat out. Season 3 is on its way. It's not going to take us 2 years this time. We're leaving the stars behind for the streets and skies and campuses of Universe City in what we're currently calling the Untitled Dungeon Punks Superhero Project. I have a deep love of comic books. I always have since I was a kid, and I am personally so excited for this season. It's going to be action-packed. It's going to be silly. It's going to be great. We're going to be playing Magpie Games Mask System, and we have a few new, yet familiar faces who will be joining us at the table. We've got producer Kirk, who you will recognize from the beginning and end of every episode, also a huge comic book nerd, and Taylor Ramon, who you might know from Adventure EXE or from our Murder Mavens and Escape from Dino Island one-shots. Before we kick off the new season, we will be posting our Midnighters 3-part Patreon adventure here on the main feed for your listening pleasure. If you haven't already listened to it on Patreon, you are in for a spooky treat. Midnighters is GM'd by Phil Seaplack, our own Phil Seaplack, and features an original fantasy horror system that Phil has been designing. That system is also called Midnighters. The first episode will hit your podcatchers next week, so you have that to look forward to. After that, the new season will be dropping around the end of April or beginning of May, depending on some behind-the-scenes factors like recording schedules, editing times, and so on. And speaking of season 3, the new season will also mark our move to the 604 Podcast Network. We're pretty excited to work with a new network. We really hope that this will allow us to bring you some exciting new content in the future and maybe give us some access to some cool bands to feature on the show. Now for the serious part of the state of the pod. As part of our move to the new network, you might start hearing dynamic ads on the podcast. Well, I totally understand if that is a bummer compared to no ads. I'm hoping that this will allow us to better compensate everyone involved with the show for their time, and fingers crossed, maybe fund some cool bonus projects. Ads will only be running on the main feed, never on the Patreon bonus content. Due to the nature of dynamic ads, we won't know exactly what ads will be popping up on the podcast in your feed, but we will hopefully have control over who exactly we're advertising with. And we don't want to advertise for anyone who runs counter to our personal ideals or those of our audience. So if you ever hear an ad that upsets or offends you, please let us know via DMs on whichever social media you choose or by email, which you can find on our website, and we'll see what we can do about removing those specific ads. Lastly, we're once again participating in the WAVA Streaming for Survivors event. That's happening on March 26th. Our stream will be running from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time. This year, Lee will be running a Brindlewood Bay mystery for a bunch of talented Vancouver TTRPG personalities. You can tune into that on twitch.tv/dungeonpunkspod. So that's twitch.tv/dungeonpunkspod, March 26th, 1 to 4 p.m. Pacific time. We'll put more information out on our socials as we get closer to the event, so please check that out for more details. Tune in and please donate if you are able to. Once again, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. It means the world to me that people listen to us, tell these stories, make these jokes, and enjoy listening to us be silly with our friends. If you like what we're doing, please leave a review. It helps so much. Or share the show with your friends. And if you can, support us on Patreon. Again, like every dollar helps us put out the show. You can also, if you want to talk to us, you can join us on our Discord. You can find that link on our socials, and we'll post it again. We'd love to talk about the podcast, continue our many, many debates about sandwiches and wine gums, and just generally share silly memes with each other. Thanks again for listening, and have a lovely day.